Welcome to the second University Transportation Center's video forum. My name is Caesar Singh, and I'm the director of the University Grants Programs in the Office of Research, Development, and Technology at the U.S. Department of Transportation. And thank you for being here with us today. You're about to hear 5 presentations from university transportation centers that are conducting innovative research in the area of cybersecurity and transportation. Subsequent to the 33-minute video presentations, there will be an opportunity for questions and answers with the university researchers involved with this work. The U.S. Department of Transportation is committed to purpose-driven research and innovation and believes cybersecurity is a critical piece of achieving these aims in ensuring the movement of goods and people. In order to identify, develop, implement, evaluate, coordinate technology and policy research to advance the integration of cybersecurity into all aspects of the transportation system, the nation relies on expert research and technology transfer activities like those in the UTC program. As you will see, the UTC work with cybersecurity is broad-based and collaborative, involving private industry and academia, in addition to state, local, and federal governments. The work also supports the department's strategic goals of safety, economic strength, and global competitiveness, transformation, and climate and sustainability. I want to thank the UTCs for their fine work in cybersecurity and other vital areas of transportation research, education, and technology transfer activities. Please enjoy the presentations. Thank you.
Automated vehicles, multimodal navigation, shared mobility, transportation applications are leading smart city AI deployment. Carnegie Mellon University and the Mobility 21 National University Transportation Center understand transformational impacts of the world's most cutting-edge technology and the associated risks. The systems supporting these advances are critical, and making sure they are doing what it was intended to do is paramount. Securing the systems and data, protecting the privacy of the users and non-users, applying the benefits equitably are all key. Carnegie Mellon University houses the nationally renowned Scilab, our security and privacy research institute.
The ability to tap into these expertise and their willingness to work with us to sort of adapt that expertise to specific security and privacy problems that we have in industry. By working together, develop something that is adapted to our particular requirements and constraints and come up with something new.
They are working to create a world where technology can be trusted. Working together, UTC researchers are able to delve into the nuances of cybersecurity and the relationship to their transportation research. Today, we will hear from UTC researcher Ding Zhao, who has been focusing on this connection.
We are on a crux to transform the future of transportation. While most people are fascinated by those delivery robots, autonomous vehicles, cool technologies, our lab are focusing on the trustworthiness of this AI-empowered system.
So my current project revolves around efficiency and how we can use fairness to mitigate inefficiencies in traffic. However, it's very applicable to cybersecurity as well. So we can have different levels of cybersecurity within coalitions of companies. And so if we can implement general framework for fairness, we can also ensure that there's fairness amongst autonomous vehicle companies when it comes to cybersecurity.
One aspect of the trustworthiness is cybersecurity. So we know that a car could be stopped by a mud on the road, or it could ignore the stop sign because someone painted patterns on the sign. This poses a great risk to the society because we are designing the versatile, robust algorithms to prevent this from happening. Also, another aspect of the trustworthiness is safety. The car needs to drive in a very complex scene that differs from one city to another. So we need to develop autonomous vehicles that can generalize to the scene they have never seen before and deal with a rare event and the long-tail issues. So another aspect is privacy. So you see all those big cameras and all kinds of sensors equipped on the car that will record the surrounding environment all the time. And imagine we have millions of these cars in the city. It's not only related to the privacy of individual people, but also the privacy of a company. So that links to the fairness and the equity issue of this technology. So we also want to develop cars that can make sure that the technology is good for all. So in summary, we want to develop a trustworthy device that can bring us a more convenient, safer, and good for all new generation of transportation.
Mobility 21 is a U.S. Department of Transportation grant-funded national university transportation center. Primary goal of Mobility 21 is to develop and deploy innovative technologies, policies, and education programs for efficiently and safely improving the mobility of people and goods in the 21st century. We accomplish this through a comprehensive program of interdisciplinary research, technology transfer, education, and workforce development with a focus on diversity, and a collaboration with university, community, corporate, and government partners. The Mobility 21 team includes Carnegie Mellon University, the University of Pennsylvania, The Ohio State University, and the Community College of Allegheny County. Mobility 21 involves faculty and students from many disciplines. The Pittsburgh region serves as a learning lab, deploying solutions that can be applied around the nation and the globe. All projects within the Mobility 21 National UTC are motivated by the pressing need to address congestion, emissions, goods movement, and access to safe and efficient transportation. To assist us in our work, we engage a Mobility 21 Advisory Council, including leaders from transportation, community development, and planning. We also have a deployment partner consortium of more than 180 members from the public, nonprofit, and private sectors who provide guidance and are involved in the equitable development and deployment of the research.
The Center for Connected Multimodal Mobility, or C2M2's contributions to computerized transportation systems are evident by its testbeds, labs, and software and hardware platforms. We are now breaking boundaries in transportation, cybersecurity, and resiliency to create ironclad defenses around the transportation, cyber-physical, social systems. C2M2's mission is to contribute to making the United States the leader in transportation, cyber-physical, social systems.
The more we rely on information and communication technology in transportation, the greater universe of possible disruptions becomes. We're creating the foundation of advanced cybersecurity strategies and solutions that will defend our society by hardening our multimodal transportation systems against the threats of today and tomorrow. C2M2 has a cluster of test beds and labs that are used for evaluating cybersecurity and resiliency of transportation, cyber-physical, social systems. In our South Carolina connected vehicle test beds, we are testing cyber attack detection strategies for a vehicle's internal and external communication network and adversarial attack resiliency of autonomous vehicles. Our Quantum AI Lab is exploring how quantum computing can make our transportation infrastructure and autonomous vehicles more secure. In addition to protecting the software, we have initiated work to find ways to make transportation-related hardware secure. Hardware in transportation and supporting communication infrastructures are vulnerable to cyber attacks such as traffic cameras and signal controllers. C2M2 researchers are testing hardware vulnerabilities in transportation infrastructure and mitigation strategies. Our C2M2 team from Benedict College and Clemson University is working to develop hardware attack resilient autonomous vehicles and traffic signal infrastructure in our labs and test beds. The goal of C2M2's hardware cybersecurity research includes mitigation strategies against modifying the behavior of a system or gaining access to confidential data in transportation devices. When a hardware is in its normal operational state, there are many unintended channels formed, such as power, electromagnetic waves, acoustic waves, optical signals, and timing patterns. Using one of these channels, an attacker can leak secret information of the system without modifying the normal operation of the hardware. Our C2M2 students at Benedict College and Clemson University are developing strategies to detect and mitigate hardware and cybersecurity attacks at the Benedict College Quantum Information Lab. C2M2 is applying quantum computing for cyber attack detection and ensuring cyber resiliency of transportation systems. In a C2M2 project, we developed a hybrid quantum classical approach using classical neural network and quantum restricted Boltzmann machine to detect cyber attacks in an in-vehicle network. RBM is a generative stochastic artificial neural network that can learn a probabilistic distribution over a set of inputs. RBM consists of a visible layer and a hidden layer. Units within the same layer cannot be connected. Only units from alternative layers can be connected. The reason to call it restricted. Each dataset contains attack and normal CAN messages associated with a specific CAN ID that can be used to decode the messages using vehicle-specific database CAN. The decoded messages contain various CAN features. Based on the number of features available in a dataset, we grouped attack messages and normal messages to create attack CAN images and normal CAN images. A classical neural network was used to extract features from these CAN images, followed by image resizing and binary encoding. Then, the images are embedded with binary labels to obtain the final pre-processed CAN image datasets. Each label represents whether a CAN image is an attack image or a normal image. We trained 2 restricted Boltzmann machine models for each dataset with equal number of epochs, one using a classical computer and the other using the D-Wave Advantage 4.1 quantum annealer. Our analysis showed models trained using quantum restricted Boltzmann machine achieved higher attack detection accuracies than the ones trained using classical restricted Boltzmann machine. Our students at C2M2 Quantum AI Labs are innovating new ways to protect our transportation system against cyber attacks and make them resilient. Our C2M2 Quantum AI Labs are focusing on transportation cybersecurity and resiliency, connected and autonomous transportation operations, and infrastructure monitoring. The Center for Connected Multimodal Mobility is pioneering advanced cybersecurity strategies and solutions that will defend our society by hardening our multimodal transportation systems against the threats of today and tomorrow. Please contact us if you have any questions about C2M2's cyber-physical social systems, cybersecurity, or quantum computing research.
Consider a connected vehicle generating its trajectory constantly, and this data is sensitive to the user that it belongs to. If this data is being generated on a large scale, and if somebody can access this data maliciously, they could infer what we call point of interest. So like, let's say my gym, my place of work, my place of worship. That brings up a big privacy question, which we are trying to address here. C2 Smart is a USDOT Tier 1 research center. The focus is for connected vehicles, connected transportations, and mobility challenges in smart cities.
And the whole idea is to do cutting-edge advanced research in transportation and then to train and educate students and also do technology transfer. My name is Kaan Azbey. I'm a professor at NYU School of Engineering. I'm also the director of C2 Smart University Transportation Center. We were involved in a project called a New York City Connected Pilot to test connected vehicles. And this was basically about instrumenting connected vehicles and infrastructure and providing information to those vehicles to make sure that they're not involved in accidents, they avoid dangerous situations. A part of that project, there's a lot of information coming from the vehicles. One of the challenges we faced is how do you save that information in a secure way, and how do you ensure privacy?
I'm Junaid Khan and I'm an assistant professor at Western Washington University. So currently, CAVs generate what we call spatiotemporal trajectories, which is timestamp information of all the locations that they go. And this data could be useful. For example, if we have an accident, we could analyze this data and take measures of what went wrong and then find solutions. We have this problem of how useful can this data be? At the same time, we have this trade-off with the privacy of the data. Let's find a solution for this, that we can use this data, means that you get it as accurate as you can, but at the same time, you don't let any third-party devices have access to this data.
The idea was to anonymize the data. Basically, when the data comes from the vehicles, you anonymize it, you aggregate it so that it becomes completely unrecognizable.
There was another challenge that we had was how do you validate this data? Let's say if I am a connected vehicle and then I'm relaying my trajectory data to another connected vehicle, how would they trust my data? That's where the point of validation comes into play. So we have a few peers around this vehicle that validate the data in real time.
What if instead of 3,000 vehicles, we had 1 million vehicles that are instrumented? How do we do that? So is there a way to bring this kind of data and use it in a more practical, scalable way if it was implemented in real world with thousands, even millions of vehicles?
Currently, there is no method of storing this data. C2 Smart came up with an idea of storing it on blockchain. Blockchain is mainly designed for business transactions, so we could use it as storage for these connected vehicles data. The idea of blockchain is to put this data on a distributed ledger that we know who can have access to the data, and we could also make use of the accurate data that's being generated by these devices.
Data is saved in a way where it's in a secure database. We know that from blockchain protocol that's coming from a real person or from a real car.
We've developed Thread, which is a blockchain-based platform, and the idea, it uses smart contracts with consensus algorithms, where these consensus algorithms would ensure that the data that the user shares is authentic. So it means it belongs to that user, it represents correctly the location and the time points. A few peers in the blockchain network would validate this data and then would store an entry into the distributed ledger, which we call IPFS. IPFS is a public distributed ledger that can record this transaction. That the transaction here is these spatiotemporal trajectories generated by these users. They're recorded after the validation process. This also ensures that we don't have unauthorized access to the data, so that makes the data secure. At the same time, we can implement whatever obfuscation or encryption schemes on top of it to make sure the user privacy is preserved. So there are currently no other CAV storage platforms. We were the first to try and store CAV trajectory and the spatiotemporal data on this IPFS-based distributed ledger or the blockchain platform. We've used data for around 700 vehicles that we've stored on this distributed ledger or Thread.
In the long run, the idea is to have this vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to pedestrian, vehicle to infrastructure communication and decision making. We are hoping that all the DOTs are going to use this kind of information from mobile sensors, smartphones, infrastructure, cars, and so on to run this kind of algorithms that will improve the safety. I think the bigger risk is that transportation field is not still very much in tune with cybersecurity. In addition to doing the research, there's also need for raising awareness. So we need to make the transportation field more aware of the cybersecurity risks and the solutions that we can provide to improve cybersecurity. And this all research has that additional goal to get people interested and then get more researchers into the field.
Hi there, I'm so pleased to be speaking with you today. I'm Dr. Karen Philbrick, the Executive Director of the Mineta Transportation Institute at San Jose State University. The research we will be delving into in this video was conducted through the Mineta Consortium for Transportation Mobility. Led by MTI, we conduct research, education, workforce development, and technology transfer activities to improve the mobility of people and goods. Important part of MTI's efforts is ensuring the safety of our nation's transit systems and the individuals and communities who use them. Unfortunately, surface transportation, such as passenger trains, freight trains, buses, and highway and railway infrastructure, have proved to be important targets for terrorists and other criminals. The research highlighted here today, entitled, "Is the Transit Industry Prepared for the Cyber Revolution? Policy Recommendations to Enhance Surface Transit Cyber Preparedness," has been led by MTI Research Associate Scott Belcher and a team of top-level researchers. Scott specializes in transportation technology, cybersecurity, communications, smart cities, and the environment. This report has proven critical in expanding our understanding of the readiness of the public transit agencies to identify, protect from, detect, respond to, and ultimately recover from cybersecurity vulnerabilities and threats. MTI understands the cybersecurity issues and will continue to devote the time, energy, and resources necessary to face this threat and ensure the safety of our nation through policy, regulations, standards, and other tangible efforts. Now let us turn to Scott's recent testimony delivered to the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee in November of 2021.
Our bottom line takeaway was that most transit operators have a lot of work to do to elevate their understanding of and preparedness for cyber-related risks to their operations, their data, and their business infrastructure. Our report concludes that for many transit agencies, internal resources for cybersecurity are scarce, and even among those agencies that have resources and that are aware, acquiring these resources are a long and laborious activity.
The MTI study was followed by additional research that culminated in a recent study entitled "Aligning the Transit Industry and Their Vendors in the Face of Cyber Risk." This study examines how the transit industry can leverage their relationships with their vendors to enhance their cybersecurity posture. In response to the increasing cybersecurity threat landscape, as well as advocacy and outreach by organizations like MTI, APTA, and other trade associations, more help is on the way. The Transportation Security Administration is establishing basic cybersecurity protocols for all critical infrastructure, including pipeline and rail. TSA is also highly recommending that all surface transportation organizations adopt these basic requirements. And finally, Metrolink in Moline, Illinois, with the help of an FTA grant, has developed a cyber assessment tool for small to mid-sized transit agencies. Jeff Nelson, the Metrolink CEO, and the 2022 APTA chairman will now tell us how the MTI research has influenced his cybersecurity leadership.
As APTA chair and a transit CEO, I've seen firsthand how the collaboration between researchers and the transit professionals can produce great ideas and best practices that benefit riders and their communities. Transit-specific cyber-resilient assessment and training tools are needed to understand and manage cyber risks and meet operational challenges. That's why our partnership with the Federal Transit Administration, the Mineta Transportation Institute, and the private sector is critically important in developing a cybersecurity toolkit. Together, the transit industry and our partners can educate, prevent, and mitigate future cyber attacks. The increase in remote work and automation have exposed new vulnerabilities, and criminals have leveraged those weaknesses. cybersecurity threats have increased, and this increased risk is having major impact on the public sector, affecting communities and transit agencies' planning and security posture. Agencies should have a dedicated team managing cybersecurity and implementing employee cybersecurity training. Training should be your #1 priority. Your workforce is the best and most important defense against cyber attacks.
My name is Nara Masood. I'm an associate professor of civil and environmental engineering at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. My team has been working on cybersecurity in the context of CAVs for over 6 years now. And during this time, we've been collaborating with different teams at the University of Michigan and other institutions, most importantly, University of Tennessee at Knoxville. CAVs come with a wide range of anticipated benefits. We think that CAVs help us improve safety, mobility, and sustainability in transportation systems. But at the same time, they have more attack surfaces compared to legacy vehicles. There is a lot of sensor systems that are collecting data, and there is also the data received through the communication channel. So in this project, we are looking at a platoon of vehicles or a virtual train of vehicles that are traveling with very small gaps between them. Each vehicle in this platoon could receive information from the vehicles in front of it within the platoon or use its own onboard systems to collect information. Now, in this setting, we have two main goals in this project. The first goal is to create and devise cybersecurity solutions such that if there is a malicious hacker or if there is a sensor anomaly, the information is excluded from the decision-making process. The second goal of our project has to do with string stability. So conceptually, string stability means that if you have a platoon or a string of vehicles, if you impose a turbulence to the first vehicle in the platoon, when a platoon is string stable, this turbulence does not amplify as it moves downstream within the platoon or within the string. So string stability is a very important concept because it makes the difference between having a traffic stream moving very smoothly or a traffic stream where you could see shock waves just propagating back and traffic jams creating in a very short period of time for no apparent reason. In addition to myself and Professor Henry Liu, who lead the project, we've had multiple people participating. We've had a postdoctoral scholar, Dr. Amir Mahdi Tafreshian, a PhD student whose dissertation is focused on cybersecurity solutions in CAVs, Yang Wang, a master's student, Ruxian Zhang, and finally an undergrad student, Peijing Liu, who've all been working together for the past year or so on this project. The main outcome of this project is developing cybersecurity solutions and tools. But at the same time, we have done a series of numerical analyses that have allowed us to make more general conclusions as it relates to cybersecurity in CAVs. And the most important finding is that in order to create cybersecurity solutions that are reliable and robust, we need to have redundant sensors installed in our vehicles. If you install more of the same sensor type, all of those sensors will have the same array of vulnerabilities, whereas if you have different types of sensors, the sensors could have different vulnerabilities, so it will allow us to create more robust cybersecurity solutions at the end of the day. A CAV typically has a very limited source of energy that has to use for a variety of functionalities. For example, an electric CAV uses its battery system to propel the vehicle, to power the sensor systems that collect data, to provide computational resources for processing that data. And finally, one of the uses of that energy is monitoring sensors to make sure they are not under attack. For our future work, work, we are working on models where instead of scanning the entire sensor systems, the CAV can selectively and strategically decide which sensors to monitor in order to maximize its chances of identifying any potential attacks, while at the same time making the best use of the limited energy resources available. In addition to financially supporting this project, the CCAT annual symposium has been a really good channel where we have been able to share our research with a wide range of audiences from academia to industry and receive their feedback, which in turn has helped us improve the quality of our work.
At VTTI, we believe that the future of mobility is now. If you look at a variety of advanced technologies like connected and automated vehicles, transportation as a service, and our ability to leverage big data in entirely new ways, you come to the realization that there is a variety of disruptive technologies that are meeting our roadway every single day. These technologies provide an unprecedented ability to fundamentally change the way we travel and solve many of our largest transportation problems.
Our project, Sensor Degradation Detection Algorithm for Automated Driving Systems, was conducted with VTTI and ODU. The benefit of our project is the improvement of ADS safety by detecting when a sensor has been degraded. ADS vehicles rely on a variety of sensors to collect information on the world around them. This data is then used in the planning of the path or responding to the situation. The better the data, the better the ADS can make decisions.
The whole project is, focused on the research, related to the sensor degradation in autonomous vehicles, in the context of cybersecurity. When we're talking about self-driving or autonomous driving, so basically a vehicle is following a predefined navigation from point A to point B, right? So when the vehicle is making decision, like the basic maneuver, turning right, going straight, there are hundreds of the sensors, working together to monitor the environments, right? Monitor the vehicle conditions, and they're making those decisions based on the input from the sensors.
This is a flowchart of how the project is conducted to generate the detection algorithm. We start with the top left, in which we simulate driving events based on VTTI's naturalistic driving data. The naturalistic driving data is over 70 million miles of data collected by people driving their own vehicles in everyday situations. The events used in this project were identified to be ones most influenced by perception and GPS issues. The simulated events will be used in the training and evaluation of the algorithm, which is a much faster, inexpensive, and safer way than using on-road methods. From the simulated data, we will extract the perfect sensor response, which is combined later with real sensor data. In the bottom left, we collect baseline sensor data since the performance of sensors rarely matches the data sheet. The baseline data includes the noise of sensors as well as limitations not identified in the data sheet. Then we collect degraded weather state responses by using VTTI's Smart Road. The baseline and degraded weather data will then be converted into empirical models, which augments the perfect sensor data from the simulation. The detection algorithm will utilize the LiDAR and radar models and ODU's GPS algorithm DPOSE to determine when and which sensor is providing inaccurate data. As part of the simulation evaluations, singular and combined degraded states of each sensor will be included. For example, all sensors will be affected by rain, but only one sensor, such as GPS, may be affected by spoofing.
But, due to some critical sensors, we're talking about the sensor like radar and the LiDAR and the GPS, right? Those sensors may be vulnerable or may suffer from possible degradation caused by weather. For example, the LiDAR system, they may perform badly when in a foggy day or when the rain is heavy. So when those sensors are not reliable anymore, we need to better prepare for that, right? How to react, when those sensors perform badly into different situations. And also from our team, we also care about some even worse scenario. What if a hacker trying to mess around those sensors, right? For example, when we're talking about the GPS spoofing attack, you are driving from point A to point B, but the attacker, they want to, take you to point C instead. But for the vehicle itself, they have no idea where they are. So basically, they're gonna follow the wrong route, and there's gonna pretty bad consequences. So our goal is trying to use different models and different sensor models to help each other.
Through the creation of the detection algorithm, we will be able to inform the perception stacks which sensor to ignore. This will help prevent an ADS vehicle behaving as seen in the video. In this example, changing the GPS offset alone creates many unsafe situations. The detection algorithm will improve the safety of ADS vehicles and be done in an efficient and cost-effective manner through simulation.